Hi everybody, my name's Chris Howarth and I am the founder of a program called Making Changes. And the reason why I'm putting this video together is to introduce myself because I'm looking to collaborate and work with Steve Davis, Lee Arnold, and we came to know each other by a mutual friend who is Luke Sutton. So my program Making Changes is mainly around helping people who have problems with alcohol or drugs. But it doesn't necessarily have to be that. It could be that you might want to start living a more spiritual life, and that's where the link with Luke came in, because Luke was a big mentor of mine in changing my own life around, and actually had some input into the program of Making Changes itself. So I wanted to do this video just to give a brief introduction to myself, let you know a bit about my background and a bit about the program. So I got sober back in 2013 from being quite severely addicted to alcohol, to the point of almost dying because of it. Everything else in my life seemed great, very successful, good job, all that type of thing, very fit, healthy, good sportsman. But as we know with these types of things, they don't tend to matter if you have an issue such as alcoholism. Fortunately, I was able to move away from London, back up north, to be closer to my family, and to actually get help. And I went into the Priory group. Now, fortunately for me, my family could afford to help me put me into the Priory group, but I know for a lot of people that's not an option. So part of the reason why I've created this program is because it's much cheaper than going into somewhere like the Priory. But there's also another reason as well. We've all heard of Alcoholics Anonymous. It's a program that I've used as part of my recovery for many years. But about 4 years into sobriety, I started looking at alternative types of programs and recovery programs, things like Raja Yoga, Buddhism, Smart Recovery, and all these types of different options. And that actually prompted me to go and do a master's degree through Middlesex University, which was in comparative drug and alcohol studies, where we studied with other European countries. They were Italy, Denmark, and Spain, and we researched different treatment methodologies from places like the US, from Canada, and from Australia, as well as the rest of Europe. And it was at that point where I really became aware of some of the issues that Alcoholics Anonymous has. And I'm not saying here that I am anti-AA. In fact, I started my degree very much pro-AA because I'd been through it and been through the 12 steps, even though I'm not a religious person. And so I actually approached the course quite defensive of AA and had some sort of quite heated debates with my professors and academics about what I felt were the successes of Alcoholics Anonymous. And there's no doubt to this day that it's saved more people's lives than any other sort of organisation. But one thing I did begin to find out was that actually it also puts off as many people as it actually saves as well. And that's mainly down to its religious connotations that are included within it. And so even though it bills itself as a kind of religious program, with a God of your understanding, the fact that there's a God in it at all is more than enough to put people off. Now, as part of my research thesis, I chose to look at an alternative program which was based on the 12 steps but without religion being actually included in it. And so I interviewed therapists from treatment centres. I actually interviewed a Catholic priest who I knew. I interviewed other people who were in the Priory group with me at the same time. Interviewed people who were in the AA fellowship, and I mean staunch kind of long timers who'd been in there as well, all to get feedback on what the idea might be about doing something like this. the people in AA were quite against it. The people that weren't were very, very much for it. And actually, you know, I remember speaking to one treatment centre owner who said, we are crying out for some sort of innovative model that kind of fits that gap. There was a therapist who'd helped me in my journey, who'd worked in the community as part of the NHS, but also in the private sector as well. And it was her estimation, after assessing in excess of 10,000 people for addiction problems, that when she suggested that they go and attend something like Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous, that up to 90% of people would turn around and say no. And the main reason being was that because it had religious connotations. And so when I started to hear about these things, I thought, well, you know, God is part of the 12 steps, but there's many, many other aspects that are part of the 12 steps, which are really, really useful, psychological and beneficial, and massively helped me turn my life around. And I'm not religious at all. I was just fortunate that I could get past that kind of God element. And I didn't buy into the fact that, you know, if people don't like the God thing, that it's just an excuse that they don't want to get better. I don't think that's true at all. And I don't think that's a very compassionate way to kind of view people. So that's the reason really why I started to look at making an alternative program, which I've now called Making Changes. In short, it still has quite a lot of the 12 step stuff in it, but with no religion. But I've also included other things in it. There's more of a focus on mindfulness. There's more of a focus on meditation. There's a specific type of meditation which is called loving kindness, which if you've not heard of it, I can explain the reasons as to why I've actually included that. And there's actually some principles that are included in it which are related to Buddhism. Now, for those that say Buddhism is a religion, this is not to say you need to become a Buddhist. These are principles that are found within Buddhism, and they are the 5 precepts of non-harming. They are also called the Eightfold Path, and if you just bear with me, and the others are the 5 hindrances. Now, you can essentially think of these of guidelines as way to live, and the idea is that if it's because of a drink problem or a drug problem, when we stop that, we need to learn how to live, or we want to choose how to live with more integrity and honesty and kindness and compassion. And a lot of these Buddhist type principles, as well as other things that are to do with loving kindness and compassion and meditation and mindfulness, give us all these tools so that we can essentially start to live more spiritually. And if we live more spiritually, we become the best version of ourselves. If we do that, we become the best version for our families, we become the best version for society, for humanity, and for our profession as a whole. So, yeah, mainly the program is if you have a problematic use with alcohol or drugs, and I've dealt with people who might just drink 1 glass of wine a night, and that's been enough for them to try and change and live a more spiritual life, to people who have been behind bars because they've acted out criminally because of their addiction to alcohol or drugs. And also, make no mistake, I've come across people who earn high salaries, £250,000 a year salaries, GPs, rather scarily, surgeons I've also come across as well, solicitors, and I'm doing more work now actually with charities, with local charities in the Northwest who want to license the program from me. And so I'm working more with people who are homeless, really are at rock bottom, and by putting them through this type of program, we're able to give them the tools to actually start getting back into work, or maybe get onto college courses and things like that. So that's a very high level explanation of the program, and where we saw this working well with Transformation Station Online is because of what's happened with the pandemic and things like that. We were going to look at doing this as a retreat, but we think it can be equally as successful if we can get a group of like-minded people to go through this sort of program over Zoom. There will be two different options, which will be an intense version, which will be done over 1 month, and there'll be a written explanation in more detail of this on the actual website of Transformation Station. And there's a less intensive version, which is 3 months as well. And essentially what we want to build is a community. It works best if we have around 10 people that take part in the program, because we can all bounce off each other, we can all share each other's ideas, we can support each other, inspire each other, and learn from each other. Once the program's finished, what I like to try and do is create a kind of aftercare program as well, whereby we might keep in touch once a month, so that we can all see how we're progressing, moving forwards as well, and essentially keep that community element going. So I don't think I've missed anything out there. I hope I've not. I hope that's given you an introduction into myself. I guess maybe actually I should touch a bit about my background. So I've been sober for over 7 years now. I've volunteered at the Priory Group as a peer group supporter in group therapy. Volunteered on the AA phone lines through Manchester for 2 years. I've obviously done my master's degree in comparative drug and alcohol studies, and actually my thesis, which is what this program was based on, I was asked to go and present my research at a drug commission which is based in Lisbon in Portugal. Unfortunately, I was already on holiday at the same time, so I couldn't attend that, but it was actually the highest graded dissertation in that year because of the innovation, and nobody had ever really thought about exploring that type of thing before. So I'm really, really excited about this. I think it can definitely help people who have a drink or a drug problem, no matter how big or small. But because it's such a spiritual program, it might not even be that you have a massive drink or drug problem, that you just want to learn to live a more spiritual life as well. So yeah, I think that's it from me for now. I've put together a lot of details which I'll be sending across to Steve, and he'll be working with his team to upload that onto his website, and we're hoping that we can get this started in 2021 for the 1 month program, obviously January to February, and for the 3 month program from January to March. Albeit, that's what we're aiming for, but there might be delays, but that's what we're aiming for. Anyway, I'll leave that with you for now. Wish you good luck. Look forward to meeting some of you in the future, and hope you can get onto the program and look after yourselves. Take care. Cheers. Bye-bye.